I was kind of embarrassed that that I wasn't able to tell them exactly where I'm from. So that's when I started digging into my my genealogy, and the first one I was able to find the Girmit document that I was able. The first one I was able to find was from my father's nana, and then later on I found others. So, and then I started the physical searches in India. I went myself, and I did find relatives of my dad's nana in Rajasthan, and then I also found my his Aja's family in southwestern Bihar. So, and since then, not only myself, but I've been helping other people to with their searches. With respect to Shekhar's comments, Shekhar, I'd like to assure you that you mentioned the Family History Library in Salt Lake City, Utah. You don't physically have to go there to get those documents. They have branches in major cities around the world. And I have been visiting the one here in Vancouver. Actually, they have two in the Vancouver area. And you can go and use their computers and look online for those documents. Sorry? Yeah. If you don't know how to maneuver in the system, there are volunteers there to help. And one thing I would like to mention is that they have done an excellent job in segregating the records of the Indo-Fijians. And so what I've been able to do is that when I don't have any idea of the year or the ship that those immigrants came on, I would go and look at the birth records of their children. They have birth records from 1918 onwards. These are the original birth registration records. The good thing about these records is that they have not only the parents' name, but they also have, if the parents came from India, most of those records have the parents' immigrant numbers and sometimes the ship. Just to give you an example, as Satish mentioned, I have a close connection to Fiji because my wife is from Fiji. We had a difficult time finding the Girmit records for her Parnana. So at the Family History Center, we were able to find one of her nanny's brother's birth registration record. And we were able, when we found that, we saw that under the father's name, it had the ship he came on, and it stated Arno 2. So when we cross-reference that ship's date, we were able to look up the passenger list on that ship, and we were able to find her Parnana's Girmit pass. And I'm happy to say that was also a successful search in present-day Uttarakhand. So I think that's it for now. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, or you can contact me privately.
Yeah, thank you, Shiniji. One question. I mean, before that, this is the kind of information we want to share on this group, where everybody through their own searches they've come up with new information. For about 20 years, it was a lonely battle for me, telling other people, and now we've got 6 people, and hopefully we'll have more people sharing the information. And second thing I want to say with to everybody is I'm recording this, and if I can get on my editing timeline, if you don't mind, I would like to share this conversation on my YouTube channel so that others would get to know. So
yes, I have no problem with that, Satish.
Anybody, if we don't mind.
It's all right.
Everybody's okay, Shekhar, Udmaji?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. And one question, Southwest Bihar, which area is there? Because we have got 2 people here, Jack and Udmaji, who've got their villages in Southwest Bihar, in Shahabad area, Baksa area. So Ashwini ji, aapka kahan pe, which area in Southwest Bihar?
This is in, excuse me, present-day Kaimur district. It's a new, as you know, in the old days when our forefathers left, the districts were very large, and I think at that time it was Rampur. So after in my investigation, I found out that it's now divided. Rampur has now been divided, and that village is now in Kaimur district.
Okay, Shahabad also has been divided into 4 districts. Yeah,
that's correct. Yes.
Yeah. So thank you. And now let me invite young Dennis. He still looks very tired from his trip to Dubai. And so, Dennis, yeah, please introduce yourself and tell us about.
Actually, I'm coming back from a bicycle ride. About halfway through the ride, 10 miles into the ride, I got a flat tire, so I had to walk back. You know.
Oh, that's why you're tired.
No, I'm okay. I'm okay. Glad to meet everybody. So these faces, I don't think I met these individuals before. They seem to be new additions to the GGA.
Yes. What I'm trying to do, Zoom I started last week, and now I'm trying to get people under different groups, and this is the Ancestral Search group. So we can share our experiences and help each other along the way. And we'll have other groups, and we're going to have that the book group, hopefully, and we're going to have the academic group as well. And everybody's going to be invited to that different groups, but we'll have specific focuses on individual groups. And this one is on ancestral search. But you being the person behind GGA, we want to know a bit more about that.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm happy to be in this group. I guess from small, I always had a passion to understand this thing about where we came from in India, and always had a desire to travel back to India. So my first trip back to India was in 2003. And that's when I spent 5 weeks in India, and I trekked through various places from New Delhi, Calcutta, Ranchi, Bodh Gaya, Varanasi. You know, I ended up going through this sector, you know, that is the ancestral lands. And I made observations, and I made detailed observations about food type and the language and this and that. So I could have pinpoint something was common in this area, you know, based on my knowledge of growing up with my grandparents and parents. My grandparents spoke Bhojpuri, and they in Trinidad they basically mimic the Indian village, having the cows and the chulha and the dirt houses and all the customs and, you know, traditions, almost exact like Bihar. In fact, I even tagged Satish a few days ago on a Facebook picture where the old lady was sitting with the soup, you know,
Yeah.
you know, shelling the whatever she was, the mustard or the rice or whatever. So yeah, so and then I continued to travel to India, and I shifted from New York to India to live in India for 3 years in 2009. And in 2009, it was the first time I met a gentleman, Bhojpuri speaking gentleman from Ballia district, which is just near to Chapra and Ara district. So he volunteered to take me into the village so I can actually spend time in the village and, you know, document things. And you know, that was my first real trip to the village, where I slept in the village, and you know, I walked the village and I observed and photograph, and, you know, just really connected back the things that I knew as an Indian growing up in Trinidad. Connected back directly to the things that is on the ground in this region, you know. So my passion for this research work has always been there. In fact, it was 2007 when we went to the National Archives in Trinidad based on information my father had given me, and we dug up the ship with the village that our great grandmother came from. So my brother and I was able to fly into Patna, meet someone who had a knowledge of going around these villages and searching. His name was Ram, searching these remote areas. So this was January 2007. From Patna, we hired the vehicle. We drove to nearby Ara, where his house was, and then we made the journey down south into Ara district. So it was a long journey through dirt, dusty roads to a place called Bikramganj. And from Bikramganj, we drove further west towards the Son River to a remote village called Gujuru. So when we got to the village, we were kind of shocked to see some of the people in the village was resembling our relatives in Trinidad, you know. It was very striking. So we spent about 2 hours in there talking to the people and stuff, trying to make the connection, but it was kind of difficult because when they looked at the paperwork was dated all the way 1870, and here we are in 2007. I'm sorry, more than 100 something years trying to connect these dots, you know, and it is what it is. The village was identified, but the people, even though their resemblance, you know, somehow wasn't sure if it was ancestral relatives. So it was strange to see in the year 2007, the level of underdevelopment to that when night fell, the tour guide was more concerned about his safety and getting out of there. Because in these places, there's no telephone, there is no electricity, there is no police. If anything happens out there, this is no man's land, you know. So he got us out. We got back to around 8 o'clock. And then, you know, we debriefed. But that was an exciting journey. So on my next trip when I was in 2009, when I was living in India, I got the ancestral details of relatives that are actually living in India from my father, you know. So we were able to travel from Ballia to Ghazipur and kind of wiggle our way based on information that was on envelopes being mailed from India to Trinidad, because there was some kind of connections with my grandfather. He was a Mahant, a Hindu priest, a non-Brahmin Hindu priest, and he used to communicate with these people in Ghazipur, and the envelopes used to come via ships. And the address was written, the village name and everything was written on these envelopes. And he would write back from Trinidad to this village, and they would exchange books and religious scriptures and all these things. We were able to use these letter envelopes and track back the village. So I did find living relatives who we now maintain contact with, you know. So they're on Facebook. When I go to India, every time I go visit them. But the whole essence of what I'm discussing is recreating that bridge, you know. Either it's still existing in India and we can find it. We have technology now that can, as Mr. Shekhar was saying, there is a digitalization of the archives in Fiji. This is one of the priority projects I want to see happen under the GGA. No one has done it yet. I'm working under the GGA to raise funding to pay for these types of projects. But once the funding is in place, I'm hoping to commission a data processing team that would sit with all the countries that has national archives with these records. We will create a global database. Now, what are we doing with this global database? It's not just the names in on the computer, but we are trying to GPS map code the specific villages from where these individuals come from, and make it easier, you know, to retrace and create that journey. And from the academic side, we want to statistically analyze this data, you know, the movement of people by zip code over time, see, you know, graph it, see how many people moved and which coordinates globally they were distributed. So it's a whole big exercise, and the exercise is really to bridge that family relation between a separated child from a family, which is actually what happened for the indentureship movement to happen. Family had to dislodge from their place of origin or their native village and separate from families and friends and everything, and, you know, and make that huge jump across oceans, you know. So we are hoping to make the case that indentureship is not only about the people who went overseas, but also about the people who sacrificed in the homeland to have their loved ones removed, you know. So there's a greater connection to this on the GGA formula, and that connection is to take ownership of the ancestral lands that we came from, and rightfully acknowledge, you know, what's happening there, and maybe recreate some kind of relationship between where we are now, maybe in the developed world, to where these ancestral distant relatives are in the somewhat underdeveloped world, which is these poverty-stricken heartlands in India. And that's basically the mission. We've evolved. Satish would let you know. We've been through some other sister organizations whose agenda wasn't really supporting the GGA's agenda, which is why we decided we want to commission the GGA so that we can focus in on these historic aspects, correcting history, processing the data, making the data available for education, and all these things, and making that economic bridge, which is one of the projects I have been developing last 10 years in India as an engineer, going back to India and seeing the level of underdevelopment in the rural sector. I have been working on a very large development project to basically address poverty alleviation in this region. So I do that under the sister organization called Vihara Foundation. And we are very, very near, very, very close to securing international financing to deploy this project. So this project is basically an upliftment project for the general region. It's going to be a model that will be scalable and will help create economic wealth and trickle down development to uplift the conditions in which some of these distant relatives are still trapped within. I don't know if how many people have actually walked the grounds in India, but when you walk some of these villages, you see the dire state of poverty. Some people's distant relatives still living in grass houses, you know, still subject to very abject poverty. So these are the things. It troubles India itself as a nation. It troubles organizations like the World Bank, but it also troubles people like me, you know, who knows my roots come from there, and you know, and maybe there is something I can do or something I cannot do, you know. But it bothers me to know that our forefathers come from these villages that today still see those leftovers from the poverty or the condition, the suppression that the British had them under.
Dennis,
Yeah.
we have maximum of 40 minutes. We're just approaching that. But yesterday, they lifted that for us and they allowed us more time. So hopefully they're going to do it again today so we can talk a bit more because there's a lot to talk. It was a great intro, Dennis, and Dennis has got a lot more to talk. And when we form that what you call academic group, we can discuss some of that in that as well. And we can talk a bit more about Vihara project. But one thing I've noticed from Shoniji and Dennis is that there's now a cluster developing in Bihar region which has got a number of ancestral villages of Fiji people as well. Like Udma's, I think you probably are from very small area in southwest Bihar region, because only 5,000 Girmites were taken from that area to Fiji, whereas I think more were taken to West Indies countries from that region. So this is where we can collaborate across different Girmit colonies. And this is where, Dennis and you already have walked those land. And Ashwiniji, you have also been to your ancestral village. And we are at to set foot in that area from Fiji. So when we meet again, first of all, I would like to ask everybody if you want to meet again on this ancestral group next week, so we can continue this conversation about, in this case, helping Udma, Jack, and Vijay. They're all from Fiji, to look for the village in that area, which is near Baksa. Baksa is very close to Balia as well, Dennis.
Yeah, right next door.
Yeah, so with your contact as well, I just realized that Dennis has got a lot of contact in Balia area. Maybe they will be able to assist.
Boxer also.
Sorry, say that again?
And Boxer also.
Baksa as well. So there's another good news for Vijay and Jack and Udma. So we are getting a lot of people in that area who can assist, our Fiji people who originate from that area. So let's go through the panel and last few words before we end our conversation today. 40 minutes up, but we're still continuing. If they cut us off, then we'll. But one question before, if they cut us off now, do you want to meet again, same time, next week?
Yeah, yes, from me.
Yeah, yes, from Shekhar.
Sounds good to me,
It's
Satish.
from me too.
And I will invite a few more people. I've invited a few more people today, but we had 6, which is good. I think we start from a small number, and then gradually we increase. I think there's probably a few hundred people who would want to join with us. Okay, start from Udmaji. Last few thoughts, then we'll probably stop this conversation.
Yeah, I would like to attend, and I'm I'm really pleased to hear Danish and Ashwin, because they have been to India. I haven't been anywhere, and the information that they have seems very helpful to us. Hopefully, we'll be able to, with Satish, your help, find all these relations.
Shekhar?
Sorry about the background noise if you guys hear it. I just want to say thank you for inviting me, and I look forward to the future meetings that we can have.
Thank you, Shekhar. Ashwiniji?
This is a fascinating field. We're trying to get into here, or some of us are already in it. But the joy that you get out of it is it's indescribable, And when Shobha and I go and search for records, it's such a great feeling when you find something. And I might add that the Family History Center not only have birth registration records, but they also have death registration and marriage registration records. And also some of those records, they also have the immigrants' names, not names, sorry, the immigrant numbers and sometimes the ship's name. So and of course they have the Girmit passes. So it's a great resource to go. You don't have to be a member of that library. You just show up and tell them what you want to do, and they will help you. And as I said, they have branches around the world. There's in Sydney. I'm sure there's in Sacramento. They're in New York. They're in Toronto. They're all over the world. So, and it's free. The only thing that you have to pay for is if you have to make prints. But you don't have to make prints. You can take a flash drive or something and transfer the information onto the flash drive. Doesn't cost anything. Thank you.
Great information. And Dennis, hopefully through your efforts, will be able to collate all this information in one place, hopefully in 1 or 2 couple of years, probably more. It's a huge task. And my last words before I invite Dennis to end it is this forum and GGA is the first of the kind. This has never happened before. And we've started this, and we are involved in practical issues which confront us. We are not about just talking. Like today, Danny, somebody wrote to me about suing British in relation to Fiji Girmitians, that we should sue them for compassion, things like that. And people have been talking about it for 20 years. And we are about doing something. And we'll talk about the letter to the Queen another day. But I think last words from you, Dennis, and then we'll end it for today.
Yeah, we got to keep moving. I know everybody has busy schedule and busy agenda. I've been involved almost 10 years trying to reach where we are right now. It's taken a lot of time and evolution, as I said. And I encourage everybody to stick with it. Innovate your thoughts, innovate great ways to achieve the agenda, and put in your little extracurricular time to support this mission. It was a great start. Look, even on this discussion, I never even knew about the Family History Center. That's a new one for me, and it is something I definitely want to go check out now and examine and see how they have compiled all this information and data, and see if we can build off this. It's great when existing platforms exist. All we have to do is add more layers on top of it. So this is a clear example of actionable things happening. So we can further the delivery of the results we expect. And I commend everybody who is on this call, because not everybody has the willingness or the liking or see the importance of these things. So this is community driven. It's noble. Your involvement is very important, and I think your involvement will also be recognized. So I hope to talk to everybody again, and we can keep moving forward this wonderful agenda.
Dennis, I'll send you a screenshot of what's available from the Family History Library. I'll send it via email to you.
Right, you have my email, right? Yes.
Yeah.
I'd like to add about the Family History Center. Yeah, there is one here in Sacramento, but at least for us, because of COVID, they're closed, and they're closed indefinitely. So it might be the case in a lot of other cities around the world as well.
Yeah, they're closed here too, Shaker.
Yeah.
But don't you have online access? Online, can you access them online?
No, you have to go to the branch to get to look at the actual documents. You can only go up to a certain point to see the index, but beyond that you can't.
Why is it only Fiji record was digitalized and uploaded and not any other country?
Well, I don't know, but they do have a little bit of information from each country. Like, for example, they have on Guyana and Trinidad, but I don't know why they are. I suggested, I was in Trinidad in July last year, and I suggested that to one of the people I met, and she knew that that the family history library was in contact with the archives in Trinidad, but she didn't know much. She didn't know anything more other than that, you know. So.
Okay, that's good information. Thanks for telling me that. Now I think we should think strategically to approach the Family History Center and tie up some ways forward.
Well, can I welcome Pramod? He has joined us. Shekhar Pramod is my elder brother, and I think we all have met him. Welcome, Pramod. We were just about to. I think they're allowing us to go a bit further. Can I say something while Pramod is, thinking about what to say? Yesterday, I had Ajay Chabra from London, and Shekhar, you probably have heard of him. He has now finally started a Girmit project in London. And the reason I talk about him is that you mentioned the information at the family center, and the greatest amount of information is in London. And there's a library in Kew Gardens where the Girmit records are kept. And now that a project has started in London, hopefully we'll have a team of people in London who will have a center, and then we can access those information from London as well. The battle has to be fought in London because this is where you all started. So we have to have a strong presence, and hopefully everybody who's got people in London, we can have a GGA center in a chapter in London as well. I think Pramod is having this difficulty in joining us. And we'll give him a couple of seconds. If he does not come on, then we may end it.
Satish, there's a from the port of departure, Calcutta, Mumbai, or Bombay. No, I'm sorry, Mumbai, Madras.
Yeah.
There were departure records left there, right?
My inquiries I made about a few years ago is that in India, like most of things, you know, they have gone to dust. Really, nobody cared about that. And
no, there's still existing. I remember Leela, as you manipulate the pages, they would crumble, yes, but there is still an opportunity to salvage them. In my first year in 2003, when I went to India, there is a tax archive where they maintain the shipping and taxation records in Girish Park, Calcutta.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they were refurbishing the books. But they did say funding was an issue, and if they don't refurbish these books, they would crumble, you know. So there's the National Archive where Leela used to work, and then there is the Taxation Archives. So we need to pinpoint exactly where all these records are, because part of the funding that we hope to raise should pay for the creation of these documents.
Now, when we have this, the academic group from mainly, the lecturers, the professors in India, maybe we can task them to have a project, their MPhil or doctorate project on that, so they can combine the two with a bit of financial help. They can go to Calcutta, they can go to Madras, and start working on those archives. Yeah, so when I managed to convene that that academic group, we can bring that up definitely. And but I'm told a lot of information is in London because that's the way it was commissioned. So we'll have to start looking there as well. Okay, yeah.
Copies were generated and shipped to London?
Yep, I think all the information, also went back to London.
Mm.
But I've got a couple of people there. I've got a person from Guyana, from Magdum family, Ashuniji, you probably know about them. That Mr. Magdum is there in London. I've got another person. I think you introduced me. No, I think from Wellington. Pramod, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm hearing.
Okay, we're just about to end. So your thoughts. Pramod has been to our villages both. He's been to our Aj's place and he's been to our Nana's place because of this ancestral search. Pramod, you'll be your first and last thoughts before we end this discussion today. We have got Dudumaji, we've got Shaker. Shaker is our grandson from Sacramento. Chotki Guddi's grandson. And then we go Ashuniji, and we go Dennis.
Yeah, it was unique experience, very good. I think we are very well received in both places, but unfortunately we couldn't spend more time. I think probably staying a night because they insisted that we stay over. If we had been prepared to stay over and all those, we would have been able to know more. And the other thing is we have not been able to communicate after that, especially I have not been able to. I wonder whether Satish and Prakash has been able to communicate with them. So I think it will be better that we still maintain the tie and let our children also communicate. In that way we'll not forget them and they'll not forget us. No?
Yeah, I'm in regular contact with the Aj's place, nephews there. One of the nephews has started an online education website, so I communicate with him. But we must have re-communicate with the Nana side in Lakhimpur. Yeah. Okay, everybody, thank you very much. Pramod, hopefully I will be able to share the conversation today on YouTube. And so you'll be able to, we had a great discussion. We are making progress. And this is the first of this session. And next week we're going to have follow this on, and we're going to invite a few more people to share their experience. The idea is to help each other. We're learning from everybody's experiences, and this has never happened before. And hopefully it's going to continue, and we're going to help many more people get connected to our roots in India. Anybody last thoughts before I end it from here? If not, namaste. Good day to everybody from Australia.
Yeah,
Namaste.
Namaste from New Zealand too.
Okay, I'm ending it. Okay.
Thank you.